When I moved into the house, the neighborhood seemed quiet, almost too quiet. Rows of identical homes, trimmed lawns, porch lights that clicked on at the same time every evening. It felt safe, predictable. Exactly what I needed after living in a noisy apartment for years. The first person I met was my neighbor. His name was Daniel, or at least that's what he told me. He stood in his driveway the day I arrived, watching silently as I unloaded boxes. He didn't wave. He didn't smile. He just stared, hands in his pockets, eyes never leaving me. Eventually, I forced a polite greeting. Only then did he speak. "Welcome," he said. "You'll like it here." Something about his tone unsettled me. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't threatening either. It sounded rehearsed, like a line he'd said many times before. Over the next few days, I noticed him everywhere. When I left for work, he was outside. When I came home, his curtains shifted. If I checked the mail, he happened to be in his yard. At first, I dismissed it as coincidence. After all, neighbors run into each other. That's normal. But then he started knowing things. One evening, he casually mentioned my work schedule. The next day, he commented on what I'd cooked for dinner the night before. When I asked how he knew, he shrugged and said, "Thin walls, neighborhood habits." That explanation didn't sit right with me. I began paying attention. His lights were always off at night, yet I'd see movement inside. His trash never went out. No visitors ever came. No car ever left his driveway, but he always seemed to know exactly when I was home alone. One night while watching TV, I noticed something outside my window. Daniel stood on his porch, staring directly at my living room. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't pretending to check his phone. He was just watching. When I closed the blinds, I felt a strange sense of relief until my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Lines don't help. My stomach dropped. I didn't respond. I didn't sleep. And for the first time since moving in, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't being watched randomly. I was being studied. After the text message, I stopped pretending Daniel was just an odd neighbor. Fear settled into my daily routine, quiet but constant. Every sound outside made my heart race. Every shadow near my windows felt deliberate. I kept my phone on me at all times, even in the shower, half expecting another message to appear. The next morning, I checked my phone records. The number that texted me didn't come up in any search. No name, no location. It was as if it didn't exist at all. Daniel was already outside when I left for work. He stood near the edge of his driveway, watching my door. When he noticed me, he smiled for the first time. It was slow and unnatural, like he'd practiced it in a mirror. "Did you sleep well?" he asked. I didn't answer. I walked straight to my car and locked the doors the moment I got inside. In my rearview mirror, I saw him raise his hand and wave, slowly, deliberately, never breaking eye contact. That evening, I arrived home later than usual, hoping to avoid him. His house was dark, porch light off, driveway empty. For a brief moment, I felt safe. That feeling didn't last. Inside my mailbox was an envelope, no stamp, no address, just my name written neatly across the front. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a photograph. It was me, standing in my kitchen, taken through the window. The timestamp was from the night before, after I'd closed the blinds. I dropped the photo like it burned my skin. Someone had been close enough to my house to take it, close enough to see me clearly, close enough to know when I was alone. That night, I heard footsteps outside my bedroom window. Slow, careful, lingering. I lay perfectly still, listening as they moved back and forth, stopping occasionally as if whoever it was leaned down to look inside. I wanted to scream. I wanted to call the police. But fear held me frozen. steps eventually faded, leaving behind a suffocating silence. The next day, I found muddy footprints leading from my backyard toward Daniel's fence. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He just tilted his head and said, "You shouldn't leave your windows uncovered. People get curious." That was when I understood something chilling. Daniel didn't think he was doing anything wrong. To him, I wasn't a neighbor. I was entertainment. After confronting Daniel, I stopped feeling safe anywhere, not even inside my own home. I double-checked every lock, installed temporary alarms, and slept with the lights on. Still, it felt useless. Daniel already knew too much. The fear wasn't just that he watched me. It was that he understood me. That night, my phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. "You forgot to lock the bathroom window." My breath caught in my throat. Slowly, I got out of bed and checked. The window was locked. It always was. Which meant he either wanted me to panic, or he had been inside earlier and was reminding me he could return whenever he wanted. The next messages came faster. "You pace when you're scared." "You check the front door 3 times." "You sleep on your left side." Each one felt like a violation, peeling away the last layer of privacy I had left. I didn't respond. I didn't turn off my phone. I needed proof. The following evening, I noticed something new. Daniel's curtains were open for once. Inside his living room, illuminated by the glow of multiple screens, were images. Dozens of them. Some were security feeds, some were still photos. All of them were of me. Different angles, different rooms, different days. My stomach twisted as I realized he wasn't just watching from outside. He had been inside my home. Cameras, hidden ones, these ones I hadn't found yet. I called the police immediately. When they arrived, they searched Daniel's house first. Inside, they found walls covered in notes, schedules, printed photos of me with times and locations scribbled beneath them. But no cameras, no recording equipment, no proof of how he'd done it. Daniel was calm the entire time. He told the officers I was imagining things, that I was stressed, that I'd always been a little paranoid. And the worst part? Somehow he knew my personal details well enough to sound convincing. The police warned him to stay away, but said there wasn't enough evidence to arrest him. That night, as I packed a bag to leave and stay with a friend, I heard a knock on my door. I didn't open it. Daniel's voice came through the wood, calm and familiar. "You weren't supposed to tell anyone," he said softly. "Now you've changed the ending." I stood frozen, realizing with absolute certainty that this wasn't over. He wasn't watching anymore. He was reacting. I didn't sleep that night. I left before sunrise, driving straight to a friend's house, across town, checking my mirrors the entire way. For the first time since moving in, I felt like I could breathe. I stayed there for 3 days, ignoring calls, afraid that any noise might somehow lead him to me. When I finally gathered the courage to return home with my friend, the street looked exactly the same. Quiet, normal, harmless. Daniel's house was empty. A for sale sign stood in his yard. The driveway was bare. The windows were uncovered, showing nothing but vacant rooms. According to the neighbor across the street, Daniel had moved out suddenly the day after the police visit. No explanation, no goodbyes. I should have felt relief. Instead, dread settled deep in my chest. Inside my house, everything looked untouched. No broken locks, no missing items. But in my bedroom, beneath the bed, I found something that made my knees buckle. A notebook. Inside were pages of handwriting, observations, routines, thoughts. My routines, my fears, my habits. The last entry was dated that morning. "You're predictable when you run." I police again. This time they took it seriously. They searched both houses. No sign of Daniel, no fingerprints, no forwarding address, no real identity. The name Daniel didn't exist in any records tied to that address. They told me to move. I did. Months passed. I changed my number. I deleted social media. I stopped telling people where I lived. Slowly, the fear faded into something manageable, something quiet. Until one night in my new apartment, I received a text from an unknown number. I like the house better, but you adapt quickly. My hands shook as I stared at the screen. A second message followed. Neighbors change, habits don't. I never replied. I never blocked the number. I didn't need to, because I finally understood the truth. Daniel was never just a neighbor. He was a watcher, and watchers don't need to live next door to stay close. Sometimes they're already watching, from wherever you are now.